What's up, everyone? This is John. Even at the did I lose you? I'll give you a second to get back in. There you are.
There I am.
That's a good transition anyway. I'm glad we're not doing live.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens. I think it's a good transition now just to go into the 2021 standout players.
Okay.
So you're just gonna pick it up from there.
Yeah.
So we'll just pick it up from there. I'll let you if you can't edit it too. If not, we'll just look fun.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some of our 2021 standout players this year. I mean, you could probably give an award to at least 15, 16 players. Let's try to narrow it down. For me, my guy that I think we all knew was going to be great, but really, got the world's attention was Jaquan McMillan this year. Cornerback, first or second team All American, I believe. Just the heart and soul of the defense. He's an easy one to pick, so I'm going to pick him because it's easy. But just I don't know, just really set the tone on defense. Him and Warren Saban in the backfield there just were huge for us game after game. Put a lot of pressure on the quarterback to make perfect throws. It was a good year for the defense. If you could pick a player, who would you pick for your standout player?
My standout player of the year, I'm gonna have to go with my preseason prediction of a tight end, Ryan Jones. Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Jones stood out to me all season long. I mean, it felt like as the season progressed, I mean, there wasn't anything that could stop him. It just I felt like we should have went to him more, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I felt like just the tight end group in general just had a great year, and I'd almost give the whole group. It seems like every game someone stepped up, but Ryan Jones did just shine above the rest. Especially at the end of the season when you have a 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, you need that clutch first down reception. He seemed to be everywhere, especially in the last couple of games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from probably about mid-season on is when the tight ends really started getting used in this system, and I mean, I think that the mid-season also was the time where Warren Saber really stepped up. I think that Jaquan McMillan really had huge standout first half of the season, and he had a really good season overall. But I think Warren Saber kind of came into his own at the end to really shore up the defense.
Yeah, for sure. And it wasn't just them in the backfield. I mean, like Miles Berry had a great year. Just seemed like his name was called every other time. Just some big hitters this year on defense. I feel like you could give the whole defense the standout player of the year just for the vast improvement. Aaron Ramsor, another big one. Just crazy good, just big tackles and clutch plays. Xavier Smith, another one. But look, for my surprise player of the year, someone I came out of left field for me was Owen Daffer, man. Just becoming an instant legend in the Navy game. Just seems to have ice water in his veins. Had a rough start to the season, missed a couple PATs, a couple short field goals, but just manned up and just went out there, just did his job.
Yeah, and much credit to Owen this year. He had a breakout season. I do want to bring back the memory of preseason camp, Patrick Nations versus Owen Daffer, and
Mm-hmm.
Nations decides to transfer. At the time, I was like, man, that's gonna hurt. And I mean, Patrick Nations had a really good year, but so did Owen Daffer, and I'm glad that both of them were able to find success this season. Um, yeah, I just but Owen Daffer was another one of those. I mean, and he's a freshman. I mean, he still has 4 years. If he wants to play it out, so I think that's been a really good spark to this year was not falling off too much at
Mm-hmm.
the kicker position.
And someone else that is a freshman that it was really under the radar, but has a great social media presence which got my attention to begin with. But just week after week, super consistent and just getting the praises from the punters. Was Slade Roy, the deep snapper, dude. That guy was just clutch, put the ball on the right hip every time. Just Mr. Consistent, could hit a stamp 20 feet away, long snap. And I just saw that dude had a standout year that it doesn't go noticed much in the scheme of college football. But man, without him, you don't let you don't get those punts down to like the John Jones punts down inside the 20-yard line without a great snapper. And so I just thought he was a good standout player, especially on special teams, to really highlight what our punter can do. And John Young had a great year too, just really on top of it, putting us like booming the kicks out there when we needed a flip the field or really pinning them back. Just it's good to see him have a great year too.
Yeah, and as since John Young is a senior, I really hope that he gets at least two good shots in the bowl game, because that game against Cincinnati, getting taken out like that,
Yeah.
and really the team needing to go to a different style. So
Well,
I,
Cincinnati's a
I really
different
hope he
beast.
gets to show off for his last game.
I do too, and I get I get why we had to go another direction there. But Cincinnati is the best team we'll play this year. Um, just I don't know. Looking at the offense, though, I mean, it's easy to throw accolades around here at the offense just because we're a little bit more consistent. I think the offensive player of the year, in my opinion, you could disagree, is Keaton Mitchell, just a game changer, someone that defenses had to plan for, could change a game on a dime. We saw it in the Appalachian State. Think he got everyone's attention how fast he was, but just that Tulane game, that I think it was a Tulane game where he's waving down the sideline. He's so far gone, is just got everyone's attention. He had a great year, 1,000-yard rusher for the first time in a while. Just a great season for him too.
Yeah, and I mean it. I already gave my offensive guy. If I were going to give a defensive guy, um, I would go with Jeremy Lewis. Honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
think that he's one of those players that hasn't gotten a lot of the spotlight, but knowing his progression to get where he is, I think. I mean, this year just, if anything, it showed that he's just an amazing athlete. If not anything else, I mean, consistently in the backfield. It was almost like he had louder footsteps because the ball would always get out before he could get there. But consistently in the backfield, just I mean, great film this year. Honestly, he put out some great film this year.
Yeah. Happy for him. Just looking through some of the stats. A name that I hear a lot maybe doesn't get the recognition because of Sneed and Johnson out there, but Amatosho had a great year this year too as a transfer student, getting that extra year. Really had some big clutch plays when we needed. Was instrumental in getting down the field in some of the drives that were wins, especially in the Navy game. Just all around, just happy for him. Just see him having some success. Jeremy Lewis is a good pick. That's a great pick. He had a season this year that makes me nervous about, is he going to transfer? I hate to say that, but he had a great year. I mean, we could give him out all day. If I'd say if the coach is my coach of the year, outside of Houston, um, I hate to say it that way, but everything runs through him. But Blake Harrell had a heck of a year as the defensive coordinator. Really stepped up, got those guys really moving in one direction. Um, I don't know, just I don't know. Coach Houston had a great year too. A lot of fire in years past would have gotten under the referee's skin. I think held himself back sometimes where he could have just gone off and flew off the handle, but really was reserved. It's good to see that. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, but overall, I mean, 7-5. I know other colleges will look at us and be like, "Man, 7-5, that's great." But for the mountain we had to get over, and I feel like now it's all downhill from here. We're going to start just. I think next year is going to be another big year for us. I'm looking at not trying to get too far ahead, but I'm hoping to see 8-9 wins and vying for a conference title next year. But we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So, coach of the year for me, it's not going to be a common answer, I'm sure, but offensive line coach Shank, I
Mm-hmm.
think I mean, yes, our offensive line may not have been great, but the fact that we had enough players to get through the injury bug. We had the offensive line was at least consistent. I think that the offensive line this year, I mean, every year we always have to come over a pretty big hump on the offensive line, and I mean, I think that the offensive line coach deserves some praise this year for being able to gather that many guys together and just make it work.
Well, I mean, and in no disrespect, I don't mean this at all in a negative way for Holt Nailers, but they made him look better this year. I feel like we got to see what he could really do when he has time in the pocket, to the point where it was almost frustrating where we thought he could take off and get first downs on the ground, but his offensive line held up enough. Um, I can't wait to see what they can do next year with another year under them and working together. But yeah, they've made a huge step too. The offensive line, them and the defense have been really pleasant to see this year.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because I mean we watched this entire season without the starting tackle
Hmm.
getting injured at the App State game, Bailey Malovich. So I feel like him coming back next year if he can hopefully heal well and get back out there in the spring. I mean, the sky's the limits for this offensive line.
Yeah, I forgot. See, I'm old. I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah, I
we,
remember
we spent the whole year without the starting right tackle.
his mom was. I follow her on Facebook. That's if anybody's watching. That's how old I am. And she was talking about the surgery and how well it went and how he's ready to come back. I was like, man, that's crazy. And it's crazy. Like back in the day, he would have been really pushing it to get back to camp. Now he'll be doing all season workouts. Probably might even see him in the spring. I don't know, but it's crazy. One other person I want to give a huge shout out to that I think gets lost, and I'm looking at my notes for it. That gets lost in it because he had such a great season last year, and then the numbers really fell off. But it was his role, being that bruising back was Rajay Harris. I mean, numbers were down this year, and it's easy to point to Mitchell having a great year, but going in there and just laying the lumber down, running over people, and softening up those gaps for Mitchell to run through, I think made a big. It wouldn't Keaton wouldn't have had the year he had without Harris back there with him. And it was great to see that whenever one of them was a little dinged up, the other one could pick it up. But it was good having those two running back sets back there all the time. And I'm hoping to see more of them, more of a balance between them two. But it's hard to take the ball away from Mitchell this year. So,
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think Rajay had a season worth celebrating. It
mhm.
wasn't the rookie of the year type season. It wasn't the 1,000 yard season, but it was the have a role and be a difference maker type season, which so many other players have to have those 14 to be successful. That I'm just glad that there wasn't any amount of give up in him. When he wasn't getting the numbers that we all would want him to see.
Yeah, and I think some of that is that the cat was out of the bag last year when teams saw what he could do, and he's on film now. That oh no, we got a plan for him. And then, but that opened it up for Mitchell. I think he's a good team player. Harris is, and was willing to take that role and willing to do what he had to do to help the team. It's awesome to see, especially with young guys like this in such a competitive environment. So,
Yeah.
but it for the year, I mean, it just can't say enough for all sides of the ball to go from a couple of 3-9 seasons to 7-5. Man, everyone stepped up, and it's just good to see. It's just good to see the guys having fun too. It wasn't that miserable going through the motions thing. Sometimes it was nose to the grind, everyone having a good time kind of deal this year. Even the Cincinnati game, I felt like they never felt like they were out of it till the bitter end, and it was good to see. I think in years past we would have folded it in after the second quarter and just gotten blown out. So I mean, big improvements in all parts of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.